Babe of the day. Babe of the day. Iris Brooks. One of the most distinguished actresses of the early 1970s. Not! Iris was in those kinds of movies that only a select group of people try to watch and fewer like. Iris had a certain type of character she liked to play. The sleaze. She was blonde, busty, and liked sex. Her career spanned from only 1970 to 75, and she wasn't in your typical mainstream crowd pleasers. She looked good, and I don't even think she was a bad actress, but she tended to have smaller roles in weird movies. But there are dudes like me who like to watch the occasional weird movie, and it isn't hard to see why she's a standout. Her first movie was the sex comedy Guess What We Learned in School Today from 1970. She played Lulu. It was a small but extremely memorable role. Although she didn't get name credit on the poster or VHS releases, photos of her were often used in promotional materials. She even appeared on the front of the box for at least one VHS release. After this, in the same year, Iris was a main character in the erotic thriller Scorpio 70. Three couples are on a yacht. They eventually discover that one of them is a heroin dealer. That's about it for any kind of plot. Her next movie, though, is the best known one on her resume. It's the action horror film I Drink Your Blood from 1971. The title is a bit misleading. This isn't about vampires. It's not even about zombies. It is, however, the first movie Iris did with a genuine plot. There was actually a story here. Cool. The movie is about a satanic cult, heavily inspired by the Manson family, who become infected by rabies. Already crazy to begin with, they turn even loonier and start infecting and or killing everyone in their path. Iris Brooks plays one of the cult followers. She gets a lot of screen time, but apparently the writers didn't think her character even deserved a name. She is simply known as Blonde Cult Member. Iris is a bit more important to the movie than some of the actors who do have character names. Oh well, that's show business. She looks a bit too good to be part of a group of weirdos. It makes you wonder where her character went wrong in life to end up surrounding herself with such derelicts. Of course, her character dies. I Drink Your Blood was a much bigger hit than anyone thought it would be. Most low-budget movies of this sort have a very short lifespan before they fall into complete obscurity. Despite all its weirdness, this is not a totally bad movie. The movie caused quite a stir, especially for the violence. It's tame when you compare it to countless other horror films that have come out over the years, but back then, it was kind of a big deal. Some people loved it, others hated it, but it wasn't ignored. Since then, it has become a cult classic. It's not the best horror movie I've seen by a long shot, but it's definitely interesting and, in a lot of ways, unique. Rabies in movies is still not a commonly used premise. The idea of a Manson-like cult taking over an almost ghost town was different. Just about every negative hippie stereotype was thrown into the movie. This cult was far removed from peace-loving hippies, but the movie was definitely targeting the youthful counterculture of the day. On the other hand, the people of the small rural town were presented in a more positive light, unlike most movies, even today, that make small-town Americans look like real bumpkins. Everything about this movie was a gimmick. It was intended to be seen. Iris Brooks fits the bill as the hot, crazy girl. The rest of Iris's movies would not be as distinctive as I Drink Your Blood. It was followed by another sex comedy, Is There Sex After Death? from 1971, in which she had a small role. This was just like the movie she had been doing before. After this was a small role in the Barbra Streisand flop Up the Sandbox from 1972. It was a bizarre dramedy fantasy about a bored housewife. Yawn. The last movie Iris had a part in was the 1975 political comedy The Wrong Damn Film. What's interesting to note is that after I Drink Your Blood, her movies had some notable stars in them, including Buck Henry, Barbra Streisand, Barry Bostwick, and others. The movies were all incredibly obscure back then, and even more so today, but she was getting into a better league of talent. Then she just stopped. Unfortunately, outside of the movies, all public knowledge of Iris Brooks stops. I'd like to know more about her. Where did she come from? Most importantly, where did she go? I would be very interested in making an update video. Iris Brooks is just one of many small-time actresses from the era, and although she didn't become a huge star, it looked like she had fun in the movies that she made. I think, to her, making these movies was like a big party. More often than not, young actresses take themselves too seriously. For her looks, and for the personality that she projects on film, Iris Brooks makes the grade as a Babe of the Day, Babe of the Day.